Hey guys, just a reminder, this is not official medical advice or such. Please seek an appointment with a licensed medical provider. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode on Performance Medicine TV. We're going into the Johnson City location today with nutrition coach Lucas Schmidt. And Lucas, you know, I sent you a text earlier on our Q&A show that we do every Tuesday night at 7. We're getting a ton of questions around, you know, how to go about, you know, low carb diets. We often say, you know, low carb is kind of a safe way to go, but there's some things that that maybe are a little bit of a gray area, fruit being one. Kind of tell us where you want us to go with this today.
Yeah, I figured I'd list just some of my favorite lower carb fruits.
Yeah.
And maybe what their benefits are, sort of very general benefits to these fruits. I'll eat low carb sometimes, primarily for the benefits on like focus that I seem to reap from them. And sometimes if I want to lean down for whatever reason, I'll do a lower carb. It seems to be easier for me to lean down on a low carb diet. So that doesn't necessarily have to be ketogenic, by the way. Low carb to me implies under 150 carbs a day.
Okay.
A ketogenic diet would be 50 carbs or under a day. It's pretty low. Some people, if you're really strict on keto, would be 25 carbs or under, which is super low. But the big problem that I have with a low carb diet is that I have a huge preference for fruits. I prefer fruits over vegetables for taste. Primarily, most people probably do. Fruits, they just got more going on in their flavor. That doesn't mean vegetables aren't good, but they're a little more bland or bitter. Fruits tend to be sweet,
okay,
or sour, which is fun. So low carb or keto does not mean that you have to get rid of all fruits, because fruits are higher in sugar generally than vegetables. So I'm going to list 5 low. I'm going to say low-ish carbs. And I'll explain why I said that. So my first, I don't know that I'm going to rank them. I'm just going to say one of my favorites is raspberries. I love raspberries.
Interesting.
Yeah. Raspberries generally taste sweet. You can get them frozen or fresh. They're about equal either way. For a cup of raspberries, a full cup, which is quite a few raspberries if you pack them in a cup, you're going to get around 6 net carbs per cup, which is really low carb for a fruit. So when I say net carbs, what that is total carbs minus fiber. Fiber is not really absorbable in the gut, so we don't count that. Even though fiber counts as a carb, we don't count that as a carb that's impactful on your blood sugar.
Okay.
So that's how you get net carb. Total carbs would be around 14 grams per cup, but 8 grams of that's fiber, which is a lot of fiber.
Okay.
So that's a low carb fruit. It tastes sweet and sour, I love sour. So I love raspberries for that reason. Now, nutritionally, what do they provide? I like to give a little bit of that. They're going to give you a good amount of vitamin C, like a pretty decent amount. And then a moderate amount of vitamin K. Now, it's plant-form vitamin K, so how much of that are we absorbing? I don't know. Some manganese, which is interesting. And then small amounts, trace amounts of vitamin E, iron, magnesium, phosphorus, potassium, and copper. And these are trace amounts. Okay, don't think, well, I ate a cup of raspberries, I'm set for the day. No. It's just trace amounts, but it's nice to know that they're in there. Being red colored, they're also going to contain some carotenoids, which is an antioxidant. Can be good for the skin. Potentially anti-cancer. I say potentially because the research on carotenoids is sketchy. But that's a potential benefit. So yeah, I generally like raspberries a lot. And you can eat a good amount of them before, especially if you're not keto. Like if you're low carb and you have 150 carb max for your day, you eat tons of raspberries, tons and tons and tons of them. The one warning about that is because there's such high fiber content, you don't want to get diarrhea.
Right.
But outside of that, great.
Okay.
So that moves us to the next one. This is a low-ish I'm going to put an ish next to this one, okay? Green apples. Now, green apples contain a lot more sugar than raspberries do, but they're still considered a fairly glycemically friendly food. So we're talking to 20 to 25 total carbs in a medium green apple, 4 to 5 grams of fiber. So we're talking about 19-ish net carbs on the higher end, but not bad. Still fruit, still apple, which is nice. If you're on a low-carb diet, you could get away with 2 or 3 or 1. Probably lean on the one side. They have a specific fiber called pectin. And pectin is potentially good for the gut because it's considered a prebiotic fiber, a specific kind. Could yield some good benefits if you tolerate fiber and if you need some more. Another thing I like about green apples particularly is their flavor because they're sour. That's personal preference. They tend to be a little less sugar than the other color apples. I believe there is one other apple, though, that's lower in sugar than the green. The name of it escapes me, though. Their green apples in their skin contain quercetin, which your dad has done numerous podcasts on quercetin. So you feel free to look those up if you want a review on quercetin. To summarize, quercetin is considered sort of an antioxidant, an immune booster, an anti-inflammatory chem. The typical, but it's particularly potent, apparently. But you need to eat the skin to get that quercetin. It has a good amount of trace vitamins and minerals. Not as high as the raspberry does, but the general plethora with vitamin C, E, some trace minerals you'd expect in any fruit. But the main thing nutritionally I'd be after in the apple would be the pectin and the quercetin. So, the third one will be the last one for this episode. I do want to split this one into 2 so we don't bombard with too much information at one time. Would be something I don't think a lot of people realize is a fruit, which is an avocado.
That's a fruit?
Yeah, has a seed in it. So fruits are those that bear seeds. So avocado. So avocados are very keto friendly and low carb friendly fruit. Yes, it's a fruit. So, although some people out there might be like, hey, wait a minute. I thought that was a vegetable. You're just telling me a vegetable's a fruit. That doesn't count. Technically, it counts because it's a fruit. 13 total carbs, 10 of which are fiber. So 3 net carbs for a whole avocado. It's insanely low on net carbs. Avocados are very nutritious. So we've got 20% of your recommended amount of vitamin C, 20% of your recommended vitamin E, 50% recommendation of your vitamin K. Again, though, plant sourced. We have to talk about how absorbable that vitamin K is. And then it contains apparently close to a fifth of the daily recommended dose of potassium, which is a lot of potassium. Men, it's recommended you get 3,600 milligrams approximately potassium. Women, 2,600. So a fifth of that is actually quite a bit. Especially when you look at how much potassium other foods provide, it isn't much. So, and then the other thing about avocado, the main thing I would say, is it's high in unsaturated fats. And of that unsaturated fat, it's mostly monounsaturated fat, which is the same fat you want to get from olive oil.
Got it.
So potentially heart protective and can help lower LDL, possibly cholesterol, which I'm not as scared of LDL as some other people are. But, if you've got heart disease and you need to get your LDL down, you can eat some avocados to help that. It's also very filling because it's a fatty. Now, it's higher calorie, but it's low carb. So it's very low carb friendly and very ketogenic friendly because it's high fat, low carb. So those are 3 for this episode that I really like in the low carb category that are fruits, and you can eat. The raspberries and avocados you can eat tons of. Apples, moderate them because they're low carb-ish, but they're still pretty low carb. So
I love that, Lucas. And the one that surprised me was the green apple, because you do hear about kind of maybe it's too sugary.
Yeah.
But it seems
if you want to be really, sorry to cut you off. If you want to be really nitpicky with green apples, like, well, when's the best time? You could eat one after a workout, right after.
Okay.
Great time.
Okay.
So.
Well, Lucas, I appreciate the time today. I'm looking forward to the part 2 episode. Guys, thank y'all so much for listening to this episode on Performance Medicine TV with nutrition coach Lucas Schmidt. Lucas, I'm going to let you get back to it, man. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Don't go away.